Also, one of our big focuses this morning is the Western Cape. Let's head down and find out what the latest is from the ground. Cape Winelands District Municipality spokesperson Joanne Otto with us this morning. Joanne, good morning to you. Devastation during the daylight, devastation overnight as well. Just give me a sense, what are you dealing with this morning?
Good morning. So the first good news is that the R60 has been reopened late last night, and we were able to basically take people one by one across that road so that they could join back to the N1. We had very many people traveling from the N2 after the long weekend, and then wanting to get back to the N1 to get back into the city. And of course that was horribly interrupted when the May River overflowed and across the road and nobody could travel. So late last night, it was just before 11, that road was reopened. And our roads crews and traffic departments actually took car for car through the area just to make sure that everyone was safe. And very many people heeded our warning and actually ended up staying over in the area, which was wonderful. So this morning, of course, it is going to look at the daylight devastation. And we have very many back roads still closed. We have Slanghoek closed, Doornrivier, Moddergat, and of course, most importantly, the N1 at the Dorens, which closed early yesterday morning and for a while was completely closed and remains closed. And that means that commuters on the N1 are going to have to take a diversion from Toes River and behind Ceres and back onto the N1 just after Worcester. So there's still a lot of damage control this morning. Obviously, the main routes are the main focus to get open. But the other side of the coin is all the back roads are the routes that our farm children take to school. So that's a big thing. And then on top of that as well is places like the Franschhoek Pass and Moddergat, Lemoenpoort. All those roads have low running bridges, low water bridges that are flooded. And that means that farmers can't get out of their farms to take produce through. Mobile services, medical services can't get to farms. People can't get to clinics. So there's a lot of work today on trying to just get roads safe for people to travel on.
What's the weather warnings for today? What is still in place? Because it seems that yesterday was the most severe weather that you were expecting in the municipality. What's the advice from this morning and what's the weather expectation? Not looking for a weather forecast, of course, Joanne, but just what's the expectation?
We're hoping for a sunny day, but it does look as if it's going to be good. There was a little bit of light rain last night. The sun did peep out late yesterday afternoon, which was encouraging. And this morning, it does look like it's going to be clear, little to no wind, and that does make it easier to fix roads. But I need to mention that the roads and the ground is so saturated that even if it's a clear day, we need to specifically on the ground, on the rural roads and the gravel roads, we actually need to wait for the water to dissipate even further before we can start grading and cleaning up the damaged roads of that. And then, of course, the next part of that is also the amount of people that have been displaced by the weather. So in the Cape Winelands, we're looking at about 588 people in various towns. Most found shelter. Many were able to stay with family members in the area, but those people are all going to have to be helped and assisted and move back to their homes.
Let's talk local government or national government for a moment. What's the interventions needed? Are we starting to talk about a disaster being declared in the Cape and the Cape Winelands and the Cape Town area?
I'm actually not sure. I can't speak into that right now, as we're in the Cape Winelands District, and we'll speak into the provincial government, and they will lead us from their disaster management into what's going to be happening to the future. But definitely, one of the bigger problems here is that we'll now need to take funding that was reserved for other repairs to other roads to do damage control on the roads that were now damaged by weather, which means that the roads that were earmarked to be repaired or maintained are now going to have to wait a little bit longer. So definitely we are hoping that there'll be some funding available to effect those repairs.
This is being described as a freak storm, a 1 in 100 year weather event as well. Many people are going to say that there are areas of Cape Town that get flooded on a regular basis. I'm not sure about the Cape Winelands, so help me understand, are there areas that you knew were going to be a problem even before the storm hit?
No. So in the last weather big storms we had, Ceres and Witzenberg really suffered greatly and were even cut off. You might remember even in the area of Paarl, there were great damages. So a lot of work was put into place prior to the storm to make sure that those repairs were well effected. And yet even so, new areas that were not expected to be damaged, such as the river at Canet Flay, which is in Dedurans. It's almost unheard of for that river to have overflowed its banks. So it's difficult to predict these things as to where they're going to go. It was a lot of rain that fell in a very short period of time. And it's difficult to say, oh, we could have prepared for that. What we could do and what we did do is we put measures in place to mitigate the effects of that as much as possible. So all services were on high alert. We managed to get people at traffic departments into those areas as soon as possible. People that needed to be evacuated, fire services jumped in and helped there. And that's really what we can do as a local government or as a municipality in our area when things like that happen, is really make sure that our services are capacitated, are well resourced, and are well informed so that we can get to people as soon as possible.
Then for the moment, appreciate the update. All the best to you and your teams on the ground. I think right now it's still very much a case of damage assessment. 588 people displaced in the Cape Winelands. The district municipality spokesperson, Joanne Otto, up early, I'm sure, as everybody else is in the area, trying to get a sense of how bad the damage actually is. It's 23.